Kislovodsk is a town in the Stavropolsky Krai, one of the key balneology resorts in the Caucasus Mineralnye Vody or mineral waters region. It's located in the northern foothills of the Bolshoi Caucasus mountain range, at an altitude of about 1,000 meters. It's the region's most southerly resort. For the entire 200 years that Kislovodsk has existed, it has been under state protection. Back in the 18th century, the town's real treasure was found, a very special mineral water called Nahum. It took a long time, however, for the town to really establish itself. The city is believed to have been founded in 1803, when, by a special decree of Emperor Alexander I, the town was declared a medicinal territory of national importance.
Именно источники и дали название городу. В те давние времена то, что мы сейчас называем...
It was the springs here that gave the town its name. Back then, mineral water was called Kislaya Voda, or sour water, hence Kislovodsk. In the Caucasus, it was called Narzan, Nati being heroes of old, and San being water. So we're drinking hero water. People have been coming here for that water for hundreds of years. In the 19th century, the Russian aristocracy would travel here to take the waters for 6 months at a time. They would take their treatments according to a strict regime. A month in Zheleznovodsk, Pyatigorsk and Yessentuki, and a whole 3 months in Kislovodsk. Here, they would not only further develop the good work done in the other 3 towns, they would also really get some rest. There were far more entertainments in Kislovodsk. The Moscow-Kislovodsk railway line also ended here. No roads led on from here, the mountains blocked the way. But thanks to those mountains which close off the town from every side, Kislovodsk has a unique climate. The sky is cloud-free 300 days a year here. The summer, which lasts for almost 5 months each year, is never oppressively hot, and there are no devastating frosts in the winter. As early as the 19th century, the air here was being prescribed as a medicinal treatment. Years of observation allowed meteorologists to reach the conclusion that the Kislovodsk climate improves and speeds up blood circulation, improves breathing, and strengthens the metabolism. The route to the resort was for a long time littered with stones in the most literal sense. The road, after all, led through mountain passes until a railway line arrived here at the end of the 19th century. The decision to construct it was a long time coming, as the resort was managed by a stock company, and it knew how to count the cost. The line had to be cut through the mountains, and the profitability of the line itself was in doubt. But they shouldn't have been worried. In 2 years, 60 kilometers of track were put down, and the number of visitors at the resort increased several times over. A 100 years ago, visitors would arrive at this station as they do today. According to reports of the day, the building would always impress newcomers. The openwork facade appears to be woven from lace. It was decided that this style be preserved in the new station building, built opposite the old one as a result of the resort's growing popularity. Next to the station stands the Philharmonic, or Chorzal, as in the 19th century, concert halls were named in the German style. Today, the Chorzal is home to Russia's only Philharmonic Museum of Theatre and Music. Inside, you can see rare photographs by renowned artists, their autographs and musical instruments. And that's where I'm heading now. The museum is small, just 4 rooms. One of them is dedicated to the Russian composer Sergei Rachmaninoff. He visited Kislovodsk often, combining rest and relaxation with performances. The museum has a rare exhibit, a piano with a crystal lid that belonged to an arts patron and great connoisseur of music, Count Alexander Sheremetyev. Here you can also see other participants in the symphonic orchestra.
Вот в этом зале и звучал знаменитый...
It was in this room that Rachmaninoff's famous piano was heard. Visitors to Kislovodsk were very lucky. They could hear and see almost all of Russia's stars of the day here. On this stage performed Fyodor Shalyapin, Leonid Sobinov and Isadora Duncan. Artists also loved to visit Kislovodsk. Here they could mix business and pleasure. They could rest and earn some money. They could take the waters during the day and then perform on stage in the evening. In one season there were more concerts here than in Russia's capital. As well as the Korzal, another place in town is linked to the singer Fyodor Shalyapin. Opposite the Philharmonic stands the Shalyapin Dacha, although it was never owned by the singer. The mansion belonged to one of the local merchants. The Korzal was a stone's throw away, so touring stars loved to stay on this street. Shalyapin rented the dacha just once, in September of 1917, but that was enough for the great bass singer to pass on his name. They say that Shalyapin loved to stand on this veranda and enjoy its view onto the Korzal. Lovers of his talent would walk under his windows, hoping to hear the singer's legendary voice. And Fyodor Shalyapin did indeed sometimes sing for them. From here, as well as the Korzal, Shalyapin could see the Nazan Gallery. It was this gallery that would attract vacationers to Kislovodsk. The town's real treasure is to be found there, its healing waters. In form, the gallery is like a key. The stem of the key is the gallery itself, to which the Nazan spring water is piped. The teeth of the key comprises the spring itself, a deep well over which a glass dome has been constructed. It lets you see how the water is literally pumped from the earth's depths. Remember that the locals here always call Nazan Kislovodsk water. Nazan, in fact, is just a brand name. There are 3 types of mineral water here: general, sulfurous and dolomite. All of them contain roughly the same chemical elements, albeit in different proportions. The main Nazan water, general, is a table water. It's got the lowest salt content, so unlike sulfurous or dolomite, you don't need a doctor's prescription to drink it. You can drink it hot or cold. Hot Nazan is drunk at 40 degrees Celsius. Just try drinking carbonated water like that, and try to remember that it's good for you. And you don't just drink it, you can also take baths in the stuff. To find out how, I went to the Resort Boulevard.
На курортный бульвар. They say that Nazan baths have a soothing effect, raising immunity, strengthening the organism, and generally improving your mood. During the Soviet era, when Kislovodsk became open to all and everyone could bathe in its mineral waters, you just had to buy a package deal to one of the town's sanatoriums. For the workers, they built the October baths on Kurortny or Resort Boulevard. They weren't called the October baths because the workers' holiday season started in the autumn. It's just that their opening was timed to coincide with the anniversary of the October Revolution. At first sight, it might seem that when someone takes a bath, nothing happens to him. He simply lies in the water and feels good. In fact, millions of bubbles through the skin push on the blood vessels, improving circulation. What you get is some very gentle and natural exercise for your blood circulatory system. Especially for these procedures, and to coincide with Kislovodsk's 100th anniversary, in the very center of the city, on Kurortny Boulevard, the Nazan Baths building was constructed. It was built by Russian architects and engineers, although their powers of imagination clearly weren't lacking. Looking at this riot of forms, you might catch yourself thinking that rather than being in Russia, you're in the courtyard of a rich Raja's house. Perhaps only the contours of the building are Caucasian, appearing to echo the outlines of the mountains. I couldn't go inside, unfortunately, because it's being restored, so I'm heading for the site where the town was founded, the Kislovodsk fortress. This fortress was the first building in Kislovodsk. It was constructed in 1803 by decree of Emperor Alexander I for the defense of the resort from possible attacks of the mountain tribes. According to some reports, Kislovodsk was only attacked once. According to others, there were no attacks at all, so the fortress never got to demonstrate its military prowess. Nowadays, a local history museum is sited here. The first baths weren't smooth and white like modern baths. They were chiseled out of the rock, and the water grew cold in them very quickly. After about 5 minutes lying in them, you'd start getting cold. So the water was heated, most often with the aid of cannonballs, which were in great abundance in the fortress. They were heated in the fire and then lowered into the Narzan baths. From its very foundation, Kislovodsk was so popular that its small population couldn't provide accommodation for all those visiting. So, irrespective of rank, vacationers could rent single rooms that served as bedrooms, dining rooms and living rooms all in one, although back in the capital, St. Petersburg, they would have lived in magnificent mansions. Well, it's fairly cozy here, although personally I'm glad that guests now live in far more comfortable suites and there's now enough accommodation for all those on a vacation in Kislovodsk. Today the town has over 50 hotels and sanatoriums. The most modern opened very recently. It's called the Plaza, and I think that's where I'll stay. The 4-star international standard Plaza Sanatorium is the ideal place to rest and receive treatments. It's got everything an establishment of this class should have. Excellent service, the latest equipment and comfortable suites. It's hard to imagine what else you could possibly need. The drinking buvette in the Plaza is located right in the hotel's main hall. It's very convenient. Next door are the restaurant and the dining room. And not every sanatorium in Kislovodsk can boast of having such a buvette. Here there's Narzan, Slavyanovskaya and Yesentuki mineral water. I've already tried Narzan and Slavyanovskaya, so today I'll try Yesentuki. The doctors recommend that you take the waters 15 to 20 minutes before dining, and no later. The hotel comprises 2 wings, one residential, one medicinal. They're linked by a covered passage for the convenience of guests. Here, without leaving the sanatorium, you can rest and amuse yourself whilst doing your health some good. Guests are offered a wide range of health procedures, hydro-massage baths, inhalations, aqua aerobics, and that's just the tip of the iceberg. The Plaza has 274 rooms of various levels of comfort. Mostly, they're standard single rooms, double luxury rooms, and all manner of apartments with various interiors, from classical European to exotic designs decorated with bamboo and rattan cane. The whole family can get together in the cozy living room. You can also enjoy relaxing procedures right in your suites, in your jacuzzi. In the spacious studies, you can get down to work, but not for long. To really chill out, try a game of chess in the recreation rooms. And of course, the Plaza's real treasures are the magnificent bedrooms with their luxurious beds. After all, a good night's sleep does wonders for your health. healthy eating's just as important. They keep a close eye on that here, carefully developing their menus. Next to each dish, there's the number of the diet that the dish matches. The fruits and drinks are also numbered. Dieting, it turns out, needn't be an ordeal. The main thing is to select the right ingredients. In the dining room, there's a new selection of dishes every day. It's all delicious, but there's one nuance. For dietary reasons, none of the dishes are salted. That's on the orders of the sanatorium's director, Nahum, Keren. You can find out why without taking a break from your meal. On these information boards, there's information on the harm of salt and sugar. But each decides for himself. There's salt and sugar on each table. I'll dine and then go to the hotel's lobby bar, where I'll be meeting the head of the sanatorium, Nahum Keren. But for now, bon appetit. Hello, Nahum. Hello. It's wonderful to be here. To be honest, I haven't been in such a high-quality, fascinating and, most importantly, healthy place in ages. What's the concept behind your sanatorium? Let's put it this way. It's the traditional Kislovodsk elements, plus some fresh thinking from the 21st century. It's a combination of those factors. What do you mean by 21st century fresh thinking? In recent decades, medicine and resort treatments have really come a long way. Unfortunately, just in the minds of scientists, though, because the other sanatoriums are treating people the same way they did 20 to 30 years ago. We've moved on from that. We're introducing innovative new methods. We try them on ourselves to start with, and then introduce them. Chinese medicine, infitotrons, I could go on, but basically all the new techniques, which are in fact often invented in Russia, aren't used in this country for some reason, but we're introducing them at the sanatorium. This must be the medicine of the 21st century, right? Can we put it that way? Yes, of course. 21st century medicine differs from 20th century medicine in that in the past it involved pills, x-rays, injections and so on. All of them are very intrusive. Our methods are based on the fact that the organism has sufficient internal reserves. They just have to be roused into action. As they say, every sanatorium stands on 3 foundation stones. The first is medicine. The second is healthy eating, which is also a medical factor. And the third is normal living conditions, so that people can get some rest, restoring their strength and so on. We pay very close attention to all these factors. I've also noticed that the personnel are very warm and kind-hearted. Sometimes I didn't even have time to ask. They were already providing me with the answer. How do you select your staff? We've really relied on youth, and that's proved a wise decision. The nurses, the waitresses, everyone who deals with our guests, for the most part, they're all youngsters. It's a fairly young hotel and a fairly young sanatorium. It wasn't created long ago. You had to select the medical personnel. That was very important. How did you find them? How did you manage to get these wonderful specialists? Naturally, Kislovodsk and Mineralnye Vody in general is rich in good specialists. The human potential is a very important factor. It's just that it's not always given a chance to shine. When you give people the chance to demonstrate their potential, they really do show their best side. Usually, treatment in the sanatoriums only takes place in the first half of the day, but at the Plaza, some procedures can be administered even when the sun goes down. You really do find yourself wanting to say that if there's a heaven on earth, then it's to be found at the Plaza Sanatorium. But the day's over, it's time to get some rest. We have to be up early in the morning. What could be better than lying in a bath in the open, looking up at the starry southern sky? One of the main advantages of the Plaza is that it has its own entrance into the resort park. That's very important because in Kislovodsk, even walks are treatments. But like all medicines, it has to be taken the way that the doctor prescribes it. And doctors recommend that you go out onto the walking paths at about 5 or 6 in the morning, as early as you can. We're following their recommendations. It's now 5 minutes to 6. Getting up just for a walk this early in the morning is a first for me. The Kislovodsk Resort Park is the largest man-made park in Europe. Its area covers 1,500 hectares. The first seedlings were planted here back in 1823 by the soldiers of the Kislovodsk fortress. 6 years later, the poet Alexander Pushkin walked here under the young saplings. The poet Mikhail Lermontov saw the park in 1837 when it was already fairly mature. The park is divided into the lower, middle and upper or mountain areas. Today, there are about 300 different types of tree and bush here, and over 800 different types of herbaceous plant. Many of them only grow here. People don't just walk around in the park. They follow specially worked out terrain-core health paths. Terrain-core is a French-German word for a system of treatments that makes use of the local terrain. This system of measured walks for medicinal purposes was developed at the end of the 19th century by German doctors. Kislovodsk was the first Russian resort to introduce this innovation on a large scale. There are 6 health routes in Kislovodsk. They differ in their levels of complexity and length. The shortest is 1.7 kilometers and the longest is 6 kilometers. The starting point is the Nahum Gallery. That's where all the terrain cores begin. It's the park's ground zero, as it were. But in reality, you can start from any point, especially if your sanatorium has its own entrance into the park. In order to keep you on track, these information signs can be found every 100 meters. They show the route number, the length of the route, the height above sea level, and the angle of the slope. It's all very scientific because this isn't just a stroll, it's treatment.